I didn't want to get depressed. I stood from the makeup table, and before I put on my dress, I looked down at the scar in my stomach. I stroked that place where I would be marked, forever damaged, and I shivered. The sound of the shot that ended my father's life echoed through my head, and I had to take a deep breath to keep from losing my composure. I hadn't told anyone about my nightmares, or how scared I was every time I thought about what had happened. How my heart started galloping whenever I heard loud noises too close by. I didn't want to admit that my father had traumatized me again, or that I couldn't stop thinking about him right beside me, dead, or the way his blood had splashed on my face. I kept all that to myself. I didn't want anyone to know I was even more damaged than before, on the edge of insanity, prey to the fears that man had awakened. My mother, on the other hand, was more relaxed than she ever had been, because the fears she'd kept hidden had disappeared. She was happy with her husband. She was free. But I still had a long road to travel. "You're not dressed yet?" It was that voice, the one that made me crack up almost every single day. I turned toward Jenna, and a smile spread across my face. My best friend was stunning as always. She had recently cut her long hair to shoulder length. She tried to get me to do the same, but I knew Nick loved my hair long, so I'd left it untouched. It reached nearly to my waist by now, but I still liked it. "Have I told you already how much I admire that pert butt of yours?" she asked, slapping my ass for good measure. "You're nuts," I said, grabbing my dress and throwing it over my head. Jenna walked over to the safe, just under a shelf of shoes. I didn't have the combination, I'd never used it, but once Jenna learned about it, she started using it herself, hiding all sorts of stuff inside. I giggled when she brought out a bottle of champagne and 2 glasses. "A toast to our newly crowned adult," she said, filling the glasses and handing me one. I grinned. If Mom saw me, she'd kill me, but what the hell? It was my birthday. I deserved to celebrate, right? "To us," I added. We clinked our glasses and brought them to our lips. It was delicious. It had better be. That bottle of Cristal had cost more than $300. But that was just how Jenna was. She did everything big. She was accustomed to luxury, and she'd never had to ask for anything. "That dress is amazing," she said, gawking. I smiled and took another look. It really was nice. White, tight-fitting, with delicate lace sleeves descending to my wrists, letting my skin show through its geometric openings. My shoes were fantastic, too, with heels so high I was almost as tall as Jenna, who had donned a flounced burgundy dress for the occasion. "There's a ton of people downstairs," she said, setting her glass next to mine. I guess she wasn't in a rush. I needed a drink, though, so I picked mine back up and downed it in one sip, feeling the bubbles pop in my throat. "You don't say," I exclaimed, to conceal my nerves. Suddenly it felt hard to breathe. That dress was too tight. My lungs couldn't expand. Jenna looked at me and smirked. "What's so funny?" I asked, envious of her. What I'd have given not to be the center of attention. "Nothing. I just know how you hate stuff like this. Take it easy, though. I'm here, and I'll make sure we do it right." She kissed me on the cheek, and I smiled at her, thankful. Maybe my boyfriend was missing my birthday, but at least I'd have my best friend by my side. "Shall we?" she asked, smoothing down her dress. "I guess we've got no choice." The yard was completely transformed. Mom had gone all out, renting a white tent full of round pink tables and flashy chairs and balloons. The servers were wearing suit jackets and bow ties. On the far end was a bar and several long tables with trays of every food you could imagine. All this luxury wasn't like me, but I knew my mother had always wanted to throw me this kind of party. She joked about me turning 18 and going off to college, and we'd talked about what we'd have at the party if we ever won the lottery. And we'd done it. And she had gone totally overboard. When I went outside, everyone shouted "Happy Birthday" in unison.